Welcome to the latest episode of Surgeons' Lives. I'm your host, John Monson. My guest today is Dr. Val Nfonsam, who is the chair of surgery at the Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta, Georgia. Val has a very interesting story to tell during the podcast today, starting from very humble beginnings in his country of birth in Cameroon in Central Africa. He moved to the United States after university and went to medical school in the US, did his residency, colorectal fellowship, and spent 11 years on faculty in the University of Arizona, Tucson, before becoming chair of surgery in LSU, and then some 2 years later moving to his current position. As you would imagine, he has a very interesting story to tell about his life's journey, mentors, his ambitions, how he made it to where he is today, and indeed some of the mistakes he's made along the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, please. It really helps. And please send your comments because I'd really love to hear what you think about the conversations we've been having in the last couple of years. Without further ado, let's go over to the conversation with Val. I'm John Monson, and this is Surgeons' Lives.
So I can start, right? And do you?
Fire away and start with as I say, I was born in.
All right. So as I was born in Cameroon. Cameroon is in Central Africa, and grew up in Cameroon until I was probably 19. Right after high school, I then went to the university in Nigeria, which is a neighboring country.
I should declare not a conflict of interest, but my sister spends about 6 months of every year in the Cameroon, where she does missionary work there. She works for an organization called the Wycliffe Foundation that translates Bibles into minority languages, etc. But she lives in Ireland, but she spends a good amount of time every year in Cameroon.
That's actually very interesting. One of my really good friends actually spent 4 years in Cameroon as a missionary doctor up in the north. A good friend, sponsor, also a mentor and a chair of surgery. So I at a very young age, I moved right after high school. I moved to Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Had no passport, didn't know where I was going, didn't know anybody, just driven by an incredible desire to succeed in life, coming from a very, very humble family. Even though as humble as my family was, my dad happened to sent us to some decent boarding schools, which were actually run by Irish missionaries. And so went to Nigeria, was trying to get into medical school, didn't go into medical school because I was a foreigner, despite my good scores and stuff like that. And it was very challenging in those days.
And you were trying to get into medical school in Nigeria, or?
Nigeria.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get into medical school because I was challenging. I was a foreigner, and they prefer to have. And I didn't have a government scholarships. The people who had Cameroonian government scholarships had an opportunity to get into school. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna graduate from this university in my revenge to you guys, the best student you've ever seen, ever. And so I did. I graduated a first-class degree in biology and zoology.
Now, We're still talking Nigeria, Lagos, or
Nigeria, and this was in Nigeria, yes.
yeah.
And then the strikes in between. So finished, graduated, first class degree, and then I happened to move to the U.S. right after that. So my sister was my cousin, but she's a sister because we lived together. She was a second year medicine um, resident in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay.
And so my port of entry into the US was actually Chicago. And landed in Chicago, then took a small plane to Lansing, Michigan, and landed in this little tiny town of Lansing, and particularly Okemos. And I left Cameroon on my birthday. I actually landed in the US on the 26th, which was the day after my birthday, April 26th, I remember.
Still pretty cold, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was cold.
Mm.
And so I did that, and then as soon as I got there, I said, you know what, I'm going to apply to grad school. And so, but April grad school admissions are all like
Yeah.
already completed. So, but I did. I went and sat on a computer. Somebody took me to a computer. A friend of my sister never sat on a computer like that before, and created an email for me. And I started just emailing people, random places, and some people said, nah, grad school admissions is closed. And then like 2 days later, I got an email from a guy, Professor Neil Band, who was a zoologist at Michigan State, and said, hey, come see me. And so I went to his office. I think he realized I had a first class degree and stuff like that. He had a big lab with his wife, and it was like probably he's dead now. He was probably in his 70s then. He had no grad students, and we started talking. He was on his way retiring out. And he said, we just started talking. I said, oh, I see you had a first class degree. I see you went to University of Calabar in Nigeria. And hey, do you know, 25 years ago, I used to have a grad student, and he gave me a name, Ndu Meche, and he was like a child to us, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that guy just happened to be my head of department in Nigeria, and
Yeah.
who actually wrote me a letter of recommendation. So lo and behold, I was grad.
Small world.
I got offered a spot to grad school to do a PhD, so skipping a master's degree and straight to
Right.
PhD.
Right.
And 4 days later, he called me and said, "Well, the department is agreed to admit you as a PhD student, but you have to take the GMAT or
Yeah.
GMAT or something like that."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, well, I said, when can you take it? I said, well, I can take it tomorrow. He said, well, people study for this stuff. I said, well, I can just go take it. So I went, sat on the computer, never take a test on the computer, and took the test. And he looked at the score. I was like, holy shit. I mean, I hope this is not like a, anyway, he looked at it and said, all right, you admit it. So I did my grad school after the first year, and I said, you know what? I was working a lot of postdocs who all wanted to go to med school, and I said, you know what? I really wanted to go to med school, so I told him, and he said, you know what? Why don't you just do your second year, wrap it up, get a master's degree, and you can go to med school if you want. And he was kind of getting old and tired, so I just went, took the MCAT. But I just took the MCAT, passed. I applied to 4 schools, randomly picked, no guidance, just like Chicago. I love Chicago. That's where I landed. I love it.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of schools in Chicago, I just randomly picked. I did had no guidance, didn't know the difference between one school versus the other. Took Chicago, took Michigan State, and took Iowa. Sounds kind of cool. I picked Iowa. I can remember my sister was a doctor, but I had no guidance. And then Maryland, I have some friends there. So four schools, got four admissions, ended up in Chicago.
And you went to UIC, yeah?
And the University of Illinois, Chicago, UIC.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was only when I got to the medical school that I realized how difficult it was to get in. And I thank God
Yeah,
I wasn't scared.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, did you understand,
No,
that this was insanity?
no. I had no idea. I just doing this stuff. And I guess I was pretty smart then. We were a lot driven. I was super driven, super driven. I still driven, but like then I was really super driven. And so medical school, and then I went to UT Southwestern for residency. After my second year, I went to do the research year at Cleveland Clinic, and I switched residency, and I went to North Shore LIJ. Beautiful, better culture. I blossomed at North Shore LIJ. I was more confident, more driven, but a lot of confidence. And I thank God for that move. I thank God for that move.
And just say again why you made that move.
It was, I would say, there was not a good fit at UT Southwestern.
Okay.
Um, and uh, and I am so glad I made that move. And then I did a fellowship in colorectal surgery at University of South Florida.
So you had did you start picking up mentors in, say, North Shore or
Yeah, so I would say the first mentor I really picked, first person who really have to. That's why I'm really glad you brought that point up, because I remember graduating medical school, and my friends get up and they talk about all the people that have helped guide them in their career, and I'm sitting there and I'm running my brain, and I'm just thinking, great. There was just this unbelievable internal drive with like nobody I could pick, like somebody who had helped guide me along the way. And I have a ton of mentees right now, a lot of mentees across, which I think for me is probably one of my greatest, I feel more greatest accomplishments, how many people I've mentored along the way and still mentor, especially the younger folks. I just cannot impart to them, in them, the internal fire and drive that I had. I don't know how to put it to them, in how I was unbelievably optimistic about the future. Never scared of taking the next exam to be elevated to the next level. I can't. They're all scared. They're all worried. I wasn't. I was more excited. I had a little job where I was scooping ice cream while in grad school. Everybody goes there and she's like, oh my God, I can't wait for 8 hours. And I'm just bubbling, and they're just thinking, first of all, they never knew I was a PhD student. I was just doing my stuff. But I knew this was not where I'm going to end. I was so excited about the future. They couldn't wait for their 8 hours, and they all looking at me like, what is wrong with him?
And so who did you started with identifying mentors in North Shore
So
LIJ?
I would say the first mentor that I really identified was I'll say I would, if I go back a little bit, maybe North Shore LIJ, one of the colorectal surgeons, Dr. Strauss of blessed memory. He old Jewish white guy, met this black kid from Africa, and grumpy man. Everybody was kind of scared of him, but he just loved me. I loved him. We formed a bond. He wrote my letters for fellowship. and he only wanted to operate with me. And, so that I would say Strauss was probably one of my first mentors. But then my real mentor was in fellowship. And I would say Dr. Massett became a big champion and supporter, and not only mentor, but sponsor. More importantly, after I left,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
After I left as his fellow, and we're like the best of friends right now, but more of this, I think he's just always incredibly proud of me. And the first time I ever applied to be chair of surgery, he was the one who called and said, "Hey, I'm in this community, you need to apply." And I was just like, wow, okay. So that's how proud he is of me, of trying to push me. And but anyway, so I picked I would say my first mentor there. And then my first job uh, as an attending in surgery, that's where I actually picked actually my real mentor, which was, believe it or not, a controversial guy. There's so many things I learned from him of things to do and things not to do. And that was Rainer Grusner. Rainer Grusner, who was my chair, who hired me there
In Tucson?
in Tucson, Arizona.
This is, as you say, a controversial man.
Yes. Yes. And that's all I can say. I can tell you, I learned a lot of things from Grusner, what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
I had like 4 other jobs lined up. And then I flew into Tucson, flying into Tucson, looking down, it's all brown. I'm like, hell no, I'm coming to a place. I went to interview with Grusner. I sat in his office. And at the end of that interview, I was flying home. I'm just like, shoot, I cannot believe I have made up my mind to come to Tucson, a city that I did not like at that time. Because for him, I saw a clarity of vision of where the department is going, which all those other places didn't have. But more importantly, he clearly painted a picture of me, of how I fit in that picture and where I would be in the next few years. And it was just so unbelievable. As a surgical leader, that's one of the things that I was trying to paint a clearer picture and how everybody fits into that picture.
So what was, as you were about to embark upon your attending career in a place that, certainly has had it's little bumps on the road over actually since it was originally established. The original chair, I think, was Dr. Peacock, if I recall.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Who his son was a good colleague of mine in Rochester, Jim Peacock. What was your ambition at that point? What did you see yourself turning into? Did you always see yourself being a chairman, or had you matured that vision yet?
Honestly, no.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting thing, and that's why I look back to Grusner as the guy who set me on the path of leadership, because my goal was to be an excellent surgeon who does a lot of surgical education. There was no thought in my head, and this is me being really honest, of want to take the path of surgical leadership.
Right.
None. I wanted to be an excellent surgeon, and I wanted to help train the residents. I was very passionate about that.
And how long were you in Tucson?
I was in Tucson 11 years.
So it's the formative years of your career, really.
Yes. It was, if I look back in my career, it's probably the best decision I ever made.
Right.
The best decision I ever made. And for several reasons, right? 1 year, not even up to 1 year, 8 months into being an attending, a young attending, Rainer Grusner reached out to me and said, I want you to try to run the residency program, the surgery residency program, which was in trouble. I was a young attending. I mean, I was just 8 months out.
Yeah.
And I said, no, sir, thank you. I'll help train the residents. I'll help, but I really just build my practice. And I was building a clinical practice that was very robust. He insisted, and a lot of people wanted that job. I wanted to be the associate program director, and then I want to transition into the program. I wanted to be the face of this program. But went back and forth for about 3 months. A lot of people wanted that job. I didn't. And so finally I just said, you know what? So I wrote him a proposal, which actually made him I wrote him this is a 5-year proposal if I'm taking this job. So
Okay.
within 9 months, I became associate program director. A year after, I was a program director.
Okay.
So then get into the path of leadership, right? And so take a program that was struggling and turn it in 2 years to have at some point had a 0% pass rate to 100% pass rate in perpetuity. And that's what we did. And this, again, building a team that made that happen. But it was Grusner offering me that opportunity, and I learned I was very close to him, bringing me, and then the challenges of trying to make changes in a place that are used to certain things, and challenges from the residents, from faculty, and having. And second thing I learned from Grusner, first was clarity of vision as a leader. Second thing was I learned as a leader from Grusner was that if you put somebody to go fight a battle, you have to back them 100%, not 99%, not 99%, 100%. And that's exactly what he did. And that's the only reason why I was able to succeed in changing a culture and changing a place and setting, because the first years were rough, where people like you're trying to impose discipline and structure and process. And so.
So you said that you learned a lot from him, the things to do and the things not to do. So you were there 11 years. How many years into it were you there? And it's not a secret. I mean, he was fired in fairly controversial circumstances. But how many years in were you when he departed?
Probably like 3.
So early, quite early in your.
Quite early. Yeah.
So what
Not
did
even up to 3.
Yeah. So what did you learn from, there's your mentor, your supporter, the guy who recruited you, the guy who gave you the vision is gone.
Right.
What did you think?
I learned, there's one thing I forgot to tell you. I was age 16. I read 2 books that actually shaped my life completely. 2 books by Dale Carnegie. How to Make Friends and Influence People. Believe it or not, I have no idea why I was reading that at age 16. And How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And I bet you I wasn't worrying a whole lot. But the How to Make Friends and Influence People have shaped my career completely. I am very intentional in navigating stuff, very, very intentional. And so when Grusner left, right, and everybody's, Grusner's boy, we're going to see how he's going to navigate.
Yeah.
The next person that came, I was able to navigate that.
Right.
And that was Alex Chu, was interim. And then came in, and by the time you know it, Alex, I pretty much ran the department, believe it or not, because it was ENT, and he cared a lot more about ENT, and he wanted ENT to be there. When I had morphed into a program director that was very powerful in the department.
Right. Yeah.
In 2 years, pretty much, and I knew how to exert the power of being a program director, and then Alex Chu came and we built that relationship. He left. Lee Newmeyer came and we built a relationship, and she was there for like 5+ years. Um, but I can tell you that there was a challenging relationship that I had with an interim chair. Um, uh, Very challenging relationship with an interim chair. And that made me actually start looking.
Right.
Okay.
That was going to be my question.
Yes.
At what point did you say, okay, I can do that, but it needs to be somewhere else?
Right. And I think it came from a place that wasn't fair, but I learned to navigate that. A lot of people left. I think one of the things that I feel so strongly that I have that a lot of people that I know don't have is mental strength, is
Yeah.
the ability to be in a situation that is very, very uncomfortable and
Yes.
still make it happen,
It's,
right? Which is
it's
my
not
motto.
easy.
Everybody knows that.
It's not easy when things are falling
No,
apart around
no,
you.
no.
Yeah.
And I feel like I started building that way. I'm so lucky, and I thank God every day that I started building that way, way back, even in college, of just fasting and running, fasting not for religious reasons, but just to, and I've done that all my life, right? I can take pain. I can take, I
Yeah.
can take things that will make other people go crazy. I just can't. I can mentally work on that. So I think that's helped me a lot along the way, a lot along the way, because with that person, I could have just got a lot of people just left.
Yeah. So you're in LSU now.
Yeah.
And
I actually left LSU, so let's keep going.
well, so that's what I'm just trying to get to the sequence of events then,
Right.
So what was the first chair you applied for?
So the first chair position I applied for, so I became division chief, right? I ran a big division, grew, I learned a
Yeah.
lot about clinical work. And then the first chair position I applied for actually was when things were really getting uncomfortable. And my mentor, it was USF, University of
Yeah.
South Florida.
So South Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
But
And got
you,
to the final thing. Of course, somebody else, an internal
yeah.
candidate, was sick. And then I applied to two other places, LSU
Yeah.
and Morehouse.
Right.
And I got offered both positions
Right.
at the same time.
Very greedy.
Yeah. I got offered both positions at the same time, and they were both challenging. They had different missions. I love the mission of Morehouse a lot. But I can tell you that the under-resourced one, and it was just, I knew that taking that challenge, I'll come out on the other side. I would succeed, but I'll be all majorly battle scarred.
Okay.
I knew that LSU would be the same.
Yes.
I knew that LSU would be the same. It was a bigger department, okay, almost 100 faculty, bigger residency programs, multiple, clinical machine with very minimal academic
Yeah.
side. And my goal was to take this academic, not very academic place and try to make it a nationally recognized academic.
So that's the one you chose.
That's the one I chose.
And that was when? How many?
2022.
2022.
Right.
And then you made your jump subsequently.
Right. So I did that for 2 years, made a lot of changes, not only held the position as department chair, also was the chair of cancer service line for the entire health system, which includes two academic centers and multiple hospitals. And so learn a lot. LSU taught me a lot about leadership, but more system-wide leadership. It
Yeah.
taught me a lot. I grew up fast, and like I said, I tell you what, I'm a very intentional leader. I intentionally learn faster. So 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 people might say, "Well, you move." I would say I learn in 2 years what it might take somebody 20 years to learn
Uh,
because I intentionally want to learn. Making all these great changes, increase our research, build our education, our clinical footprint expanded. But there are a lot of other challenges. And I would say I left LSU because because of a significant lack of alignment in one thing, which I'm not gonna put in a
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
But there was a huge lack of alignment.
But
I can only say that they were not ready. That's
so
all I can say.
the question I was going to ask you was, 2 years is not that long.
Mhm.
The voice in your ear, when did the voice in your ear start saying,
1 year, 1 year, I started saying, I would say 1 year, 3 months.
yeah,
I started feeling like, actually, let me rephrase it. 6 months into this, 6 months, I was like, okay, I guess I initially thought it was me, and I'm having people come and give ground runs. I talk to people and just see what, give me feedback. But then I remember flying to Tucson. I was in that flight, and then 6 months later, I said, it just like this aha moment, like, oh, great, this is it's like I then for me the way I look at it is like if you have a dial that goes from 0 to 10, if you've seen just to 5, if I'm talking about 6, 7, 8, you're looking at me as I'm crazy. No fault of yours, right? Just because you just
yeah,
haven't seen it. It's that these are good people who
yeah,
meant well, right?
yeah, yeah,
Good people
yeah, yeah.
who meant well, who are doing the right, who in their heart they're doing the right, but they just haven't seen something. So you cannot blame them, right? You cannot
No.
blame them. And that's how I feel.
Well,
And
as you say, you learned a lot from your 2 years there. Would you categorize your with what you've just said? No blame, no fingers pointed. Would you categorize the decision to go to LSU with the benefit of hindsight as a mistake or just a journey in life?
I would say um, during the interview process, I felt like there were certain things that definitely cropped up later on that just I couldn't put my I couldn't clearly,
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable about,
But
which is actually
perhaps
one of
didn't
the few.
recognize them at the time as to what their significance.
Yes, I think I did recognize, but I didn't recognize the significance down
Yeah,
the road.
yeah, yeah.
And it was major. I mean, like major for me as a leader. So I would say a journey in life because I never have
Yeah,
regrets.
yeah,
I would say it's
yeah.
a journey in life, and I learned a lot. Um, and I also have had a deep reflection of that journey. And I'm going to say this with all humility. The fundamentals of what took me to move through life to get to where I am, especially getting to that level, I think somehow I lost it then.
Yes. Yes, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So you remember I said I what the things that actually one of the books that helped me all my life was How to Make Friends and Influence People. I think I got to a point where I was along the journey of my life, which has been super complicated and not easy. I'm always able to flip negative to positive.
Yeah.
Always, always. I think instead of trying to do that, I, at some point, I, I get, even if I feel right, I should have done a whole lot more work in trying
Sure.
to
Yeah.
just, all right, so I'm right, somebody's wrong. It doesn't mean anything, right? All my life, I have navigated that in such a way that, you know, I recognize that, but I still able to navigate, even my patients, the most difficult patients, in the end, they love me. They've been
Yeah.
fired by multiple different doctors. I think I got a little bit comfortable, a little bit, I don't want to call it arrogance. I would say things that I could have taken a deep breath. I can say screw that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um,
Maybe you
and
you lost your compass briefly.
I did lost my compass. I did. I
Mm.
did. The
Yeah.
things that have actually helped me to get to that point. So this last year, I've actually spent a lot of time in trying to get back to, so which has been an amazing thing for me to get back that compass
And who's
into.
helped you do that? How do you and you say you're you've said several times you're an intentional learner. Did you intentionally say, I need to regain my values, my compass, etc.? Or did you do that
Yeah,
yourself, or did you
I
seek
did
reach
that.
out
I
for help?
mostly did that myself.
Hmm.
I mostly did that myself by, I think one of the biggest, I always tell people that one of the biggest tragedies in life is when you fool yourself. This
Yeah,
is green and you keep convincing yourself it's not green. I try not to do that. And that's what that self-reflection this year has been like. And I talked a lot about this, my failures in those years. And my friend said, no, it was a complex place. It was just, I say, I agree. I agree, but I've navigated complex places before.
sure.
I've
Yeah,
got navigated complex places before. I totally agree. It's not a straightforward, easy place. The challenges were immense, but I have always succeeded, even with those challenges. What happened here is because
yeah, yeah.
I lost that compass.
Do you think, one of the things I've often believed or long believed is that everybody in a leadership position needs somebody who's willing to tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, listen, I'm your conscience here, saying, you're not dealing with that very well, or that was a mistake." Because leaders, you know, there aren't a lot of people wanting to tell leaders really that they're
Oh yeah,
going wrong, so you need somebody who
yeah.
doesn't care, but cares about you.
I I couldn't agree with you more. All the chairs that I have worked under, except for one person, I have been very close to them.
Uh-huh.
And I have seen even the presidents of the universities were very close to me. I make all kinds of friends, the deans and the presidents. These are people I hang out with, play golf with, and chat with. They call me. And so I know how to do this, right?
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
also learned along the way, like you just said, that no matter how power is something that insulates people, right? Because
yeah,
think about it, even these close friends of mine, I'm probably the only one because I consciously tell them, say, hey, you just had a meeting with Dr. This. They come to me because they know I'm close to you and say, hey, they wanted to talk to you about this, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll be like, why didn't they just talk to me when we had that
Yeah.
meeting? Right. So you're absolutely right. So, and I know how if you create an environment where people can come up, even with that, it's still not easy for people because even these close friends of mine, there's
Yeah.
certain things I just still don't talk to them because they were my leaders, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
always had a
Everyone
coach.
needs that, I think. Everyone does need that.
Yeah, I have always tried to have a coach. I had a good coach in Arizona. I tried to have that person as a coach in Louisiana. That didn't that because there was a conflict of interest. I had another person. That other coaching relationship didn't quite work. I wish I had that person in Arizona. I think that person would have made, yeah, because that will call, it's not
Sure.
calling you out, it's just more like, hey, think about
Yeah.
it this
Yeah.
way. Hey, but I thank God I'm very intentional and I'm doing a lot of self-reflection, but I can tell you I lost my compass.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Despite the fact that it doesn't negate the fact that it was a complex and the things that were wrong and there were things that, were not my fault. There's lots of that, but I could have handled it differently. Yes,
Did you
Sam.
lose um did you lose confidence at the end of it all? As in, did you, at some point think, maybe it is me? Uh,
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I mean. That I
yeah.
realized that you know what I could have no I think that I could have handled things a little differently.
Sure.
And there's a part of it that maybe it is me, right? And I know that about me. I know I am super impatient. I know I just cannot do mediocrity. I know that. I know that, but I've learned in this thinking and reflection that as long as the ship is going in a particular direction, everybody don't have to be revving at where I am, right?
Sure.
So
Mm.
everybody, some people might be 60% or 80%. It's okay. Everybody don't have to be 100% as long as the ship is moving in the right direction. Have worked and I continue to work with my impatience. I just can't do like I can give you an example. I tell them people all the time, if you're supposed to be think about a baby that sits and then stands and then walk and then run. I tell them, if you're supposed to be running and you manage to get off your butt and stand and you expect me to clap for you, it's hard for me. It's very hard for me to clap for you when I know you're supposed to be at least walking or running. But I have to work on myself on
You have to
that.
teach yourself that.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, let's in the last few minutes just talk about some other less profound things, but perhaps just as important. So, what talent that you do not have would you like to have if you had a magic wand?
Uh, I would love to play the guitar.
Yeah.
It's a talent that I've always wanted. Not only the guitar, musical instruments.
And
I would love,
but you don't. None.
no,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, I would
All right.
love to be able to play musical instruments.
Okay.
And
What's
and
your what's the proudest moment of your life to date?
I would say seeing a lot of my mentees that some of them I met at-risk kids in high school, never had anybody in their family graduate high school at risk and seeing them becoming doctors,
Okay.
mentoring them along
Yeah.
the way.
No, for sure. Yeah. What's your biggest extravagance?
I can't say this because my wife will kill me.
Do you,
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
think she
yeah, yeah,
knows?
yeah. I wish I could see that thing in me say, say it. That's just like, um,
I suspect she already knows.
no, no, I would say biggest extravagance is, maybe my house in Louisiana. It's a $7 million home, but I love it. I love the space.
I think we'll accept that that's probably your second biggest extravagance because there's the one that you're not willing to disclose. What's the so you told me in many respects the best book you ever read, namely the one that influenced you most. What's the best movie you ever saw?
Movies. So this is another thing. I'm one of those people who like sleep through movies a lot, and uh, um, I would say movies. Oh, actually, it's a series. It's a cartel series called Queen of the South.
Okay.
Queen of the South, and and I actually, because it's so funny that actually made me buy an Escalade, believe it or not. And we nicknamed my wife after the cartel queen who came all the way up. It's a joke. But I love it. I love it. I love the movie. Yeah.
Okay, so some little, the last couple of minutes, let's just fire a few little simple questions. Are you ready?
Yep.
So, window or aisle on a plane?
Oh, definitely. I'll.
You have to get out.
Yeah, need to get out. I feel trapped in sitting in the window. I just feel
Okay.
claustrophobic. Trapped. Mhm.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Beer or wine?
How about I don't do both?
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't drink at all.
Okay. That saves a lot of money.
Mhm.
Um, favorite food?
Yeah, I'm just not a foodie. That's the few things about me that you learn. Even it's so funny in my assistants who the long time assistant who know me very well, they have like a cheat sheet of, let's say, about me, and they put like that. He doesn't drink, he doesn't care about food, he doesn't care. It's so funny. Uh, uh, food, I don't know, Thai food. Yeah, I love it spicy. I love spicy food.
Okay.
So
All
Thai
right.
Thai food, yes. Shrimp fried rice,
Shrimp fried rice. Okay.
Thai hot.
Okay. Okay. Um, uh, what's your ideal weekend?
Um, Staying at home, playing some golf, catching up on work.
In that order?
I would say ideal weekend will be playing some golf.
What is your handicap?
I don't have any, I'm just kidding. I literally play golf for fun, but I
Yeah.
play a decent amount of golf.
You don't, yeah, you're like me. I play golf, but I don't have a handicap.
Yeah,
It's easier than that.
yeah.
What happens when we die?
We go to heaven. I'm very religious, actually.
Okay.
I believe that there's life after death. I believe that everything in life happens for a reason. I believe in fate, but but I believe personally when I am very religious, let me put it, when my faith is stronger, I can actually shape my future. I believe strongly when my faith is strong, I shape my future. And I know that. It happened to me a million times.
Did you did you get your faith very early in life or later in
Very
life?
early in life, very early in life. My mom, who has terminal dementia and lives with me and has been living with me for the last 6 years, almost dying. She's very religious, and she helped shape and build my faith. Very, very religious, very Catholic too.
Very, yeah. Yes, it's a my own mother succumbed to dementia. It's a tough thing. It's
Yeah, 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 it's been a tough journey. Mm.
well, Val, I want to thank you for spending time out of your out of your Friday evening. It's been a great pleasure. We'll send this out in due course. It won't go out immediately, but it goes out on YouTube and various podcasts for the audios, etc. And I really appreciate you taking the time, and
No,
I
I
hope
love
you
this.
enjoyed it.
Yes, I thank you. This was it's so funny. It felt like a therapy, like me sitting and talking about certain things that, and
I will not be sending you a bill.
but thank you so much, and thank you for all what you do.